Hey friends, I hope you can get a good look at this engraving. It's kind of nice. I'm not sure it exactly has anything to do with our next essay, but it's smack dab in the middle of it, and it's kind of close geographically, so that may be as good as we're going to get here for the correct placement of this particular engraving. Now, the engraving is entitled Prison, Philadelphia. I don't know which prison in Philadelphia, maybe there was only one at the time, but it's a beautiful image there. You can see the horses there in the front. Beautiful. So these engravings are supposed to correspond with the essays, but our essay is actually about Pittsburgh today. So, yeah, I don't know if that was a mistake on the publisher's part. Robert Sears is that publisher, or perhaps, I don't know, perhaps they just, their catalog of engravings, it was good enough. So again, the engraving on page 449 is entitled Prison, Philadelphia, but we're here on actually page 447 for our next essay number 170. So our last essay number 169, was about the burying beetle. And we've been reading through this large book of essays. It's called American Miscellany. Now, it was published in 1865. So it offers a very interesting perspective. Well, a perspective. I don't know. Interesting might be stretching it. All right, let's get into it, friends. Let's learn a little bit something here from American Miscellany. So today we're learning about Pittsburgh. Essay number 170 on page 447, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, the capital of Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, distinguished as the great manufacturing city of the West, is situated on a triangular point at the junction of the Allegheny and Monongahela, in latitude north 40 degrees, 26 minutes, 25 seconds, and longitude west from Greenwich, 79 degrees, 59 minutes. Very handy. It is 300 miles west from Philadelphia, 120 south of Lake Erie, 1,100 by land, and 2,029 by water above New Orleans. The Allegheny comes down with a strong current from the northeast, and sweeping suddenly round to the northwest, receives the more gentle current of the Monongahela from the south, their combined waters flowing onto the Mississippi under the same name of the Ohio, or Beautiful River. The Aborigines and the French considered the Allegheny and Ohio to be the same stream, and the Monongahela to be a tributary. Allegheny being a word in the Delaware language, and Ohio in the Seneca, both meaning fair water. Hence, the French term Belle Rivière was only a translation of the Indian name. The alluvial bottom on which the city is built is quite limited, for immediately back of it and at less than a mile from the point rises Grant's Hill, on which the courthouse stands, with Ayers Hill on the west and Quarry Hill on the east of Grant's. At the foot of these hills there extends up the Allegheny a strip of alluvial land about a quarter of a mile wide, on which the suburb Bayardstown is built, and on the Monongahela side a still narrower margin. The city is rapidly pushing its eastern limits onto the sides and summits of these hills. Grant's Hill is already occupied. Opposite to Pittsburgh, on a beautiful plain on the north bank of the Allegheny, is the large city of Allegheny. Below it, a mile or two, is the more rural village of Manchester, while on the other side of Pittsburgh, across the Monongahela, is the smoky street of Sligo. With its noisy manufactories, it is nestled under the high precipice of Coal Hill, and about 2 miles above Sligo sounds right, Where the alluvial bottom spreads out wider lies the large manufacturing town of Birmingham. All these villages may be considered as belonging to and forming part of one great manufacturing and commercial city. A board of inquiry visited Pittsburgh in 1841 for the purpose of selecting a site for the United States Marine Hospital. The editor of the Wheeling Times, in speaking of this visit and the prospect from the hills environing the city, says, "This board found Pittsburgh a much larger place than Wheeling. They found it a thriving place with numerous engines, furnaces, and industries. Numerous engines, furnaces, and machinery. They found it with a rich and industrious population, a people that would work and would therefore prosper. At the same time, they found them a hospitable, gentlemanly class of beings, possessed of intelligence and willing to impart it. They doubtless took an early excursion upon the hills that environ the city. They looked down, and a sea of smoke lay like the clouds upon Chimborazo's base. No breath of air moved its surface, but a sound arose from its depths, like the roar of Niagara's waters, or the warring of the spirits in the cavern of storms. They looked around them and saw no signs of life or human habitation. They looked above them, and the summer sun, like a haughty warrior, was driving his coursers up the eastern sky. Then from the sea of smoke a vapor rose. Another and another cloud rode away, and a speck of silvery sheen glittered in the sunbeams. Again a spire came into view, pointing heavenward its long, slim finger. Then a roof, a housetop, a street, and lo, a city lay like a map spread out by a magic hand, and 10,000 busy mortals were seen in the pursuit of wealth, of fame, of love, of fashion. On the left, a noble river came heaving onward from the wilderness of the north, bearing on its bosom the treasures of the forest. On the right, an unassuming but not less useful current quietly yielded to the vessel's prow that bore from a more genial soil the products of the earth. They looked again, and extending downward through the fertile and cultivated vales, checkered with gently swelling hills, they saw the giant trunk formed by the union of these noble branches. Ruffling its mirrored surface, they saw the noble steamer leaping like a panting courser, bearing a rich burden from the far sunny south. Another, gathering strength and rolling onward to commerce its long journey past fertile fields, high hills, rich and flourishing cities, and forests wide and drear, bearing the handiwork of her artisans to Mississippi, Texas, Mexico, the groves of India, and the hills of Pernambuco. Nay, to every land to which the sun in its daily course gives light. Such they saw Pittsburgh, and as such, as a citizen of the West, we are proud of her. With the villages on the left bank of the Monongahela, Pittsburgh is connected by the Monongahela Bridge, 1,500 feet in length, having 8 arches resting on stone piers. The bridge was erected in 1818 at a cost of $102,450. Over the Allegheny, there are no less than 4 bridges crossing to the Allegheny City, besides the splendid aqueduct of the Pennsylvania Canal. The first of these bridges was erected in 1819 at the expense of $95,250. It is 1,122 feet in length, resting on 6 piers of stone, and is elevated 38 feet above low water. There are in Pittsburgh and its environs, within convenient walking distance, 17 Presbyterian churches, 3 Cumberland Presbyterian, 12 Methodist Episcopal, 3 Protestant Methodist, 4 Baptist, 4 Roman Catholic, 5 Episcopal, 2 Associate, 4 Associate Reformed, 2 Evangelical Lutheran, 2 Congregational, 2 Disciples Churches, 1 Church of God, 1 Unitarian, 1 German Evangelical Protestant, 1 German Reformed, 3 Welsh, and 4 African churches of different denominations. However, all Christian? No? I mean, come on, there had to be a synagogue in Pittsburgh back then. Come on. There had to be one. I guess, maybe not. Maybe not. Okay. The population of Pittsburgh in 1786 was, by estimate, about 500. In 1796, according to the assessor's lists, 1,395. In 1810, about 5,000. In 1820, 7,248. In 1830, including Allegheny and the suburbs, 21,912. And in 1840, including the same, 38,931. Pittsburgh owes its preeminence to the fortunate combination of several advantages. It is, with slight exceptions, at the head of steamboat navigation. It is also the terminating point of the main line of the internal improvements. It is the mart of portions of Virginia and New York, as well as of western Pennsylvania, while the Ohio opens to the enterprise of its citizens the whole of the Mississippi Valley. The exhaustless banks of coal in the neighboring hills and the excellent mines of iron ore found in great abundance in the countries along the mountains and on the banks of the Ohio below, together with the vast forests of pine timber on the headwaters of the Allegheny River, give to this city its preeminence over all others in the West for manufacturing purposes. I bet those vast forests of pine timber are long gone. To enumerate the various manufacturing establishments of this great workshop does not fall within the scope of this article. The principal articles of manufacture are steamboats, steam engines, and a great variety of machinery of both iron and wood, bar iron, nails, plows, and agricultural implements, glass, cotton cloths, leather, and saddlery, flooring boards, with a great number of articles of which the manufacture is prosecuted on a smaller scale. With a great number of articles of which the manufacture is prosecuted on a smaller scale. I know prosecuted must mean a different thing. The steam power exerted on these various departments is immense, probably greater in proportion to the population than any other city in the Union. To strangers, the manufactories are well worth a visit, especially those of glass, nails, bar, and rolled iron. There is much moral power in the city, many men of talents in the learned professions, whose light shines throughout the great valley of the West, many benevolent societies and institutions of learning.